welcome to you as you join us on today's episode of Tax Matters. My name is Pearl Namaka and with me is
Chiamaka Ohaochi.
Compliments of the season. We do hope that you are enjoying the Yuletide. We are sure that some people have used this opportunity to touch base with kith and kin in their various villages.
It is a season of traveling and we appeal to everyone to drive to stay alive.
It is also a season of politicking. General elections will hold in Nigeria in early 2019, and because of that, politicians are already on the hustings.
On today's episode of Tax Matters, we are going to handle a serious matter in a lighter mood. We are going to hear and see our children, your children, imitating politicians on the hustings. But they will be discussing a serious matter. How would you use taxation as a fiscal tool to develop the economy of the nation if you're made the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria?
You know, the timing is not only right, but the topic is very, very apt. The National Tax Policy, approved and released early in 2017, ties taxation to the political well-being of the country. Under implementation measures in Chapter 5 of the policy, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) is enjoined to make regulations and rules that will make political parties to articulate, prepare, provide, and make public their tax agenda before and during election campaigns. This will make political parties reflect more deeply in an organized fashion on the financial implications of their promises and the options of financing them. This would also help the taxpayer know the preferences of each party on tax matters and take informed decisions.
Our story today comes from the inaugural edition of Tax Debate for Lagos Secondary Schools organized by the Society of Women in Taxation, SWEET, Lagos Chapter. Mrs. Dana Rose Ajayi is the chairperson, SWEET, Lagos Chapter.
I'm delighted to welcome you all to the inaugural tax debate for the secondary school students in Lagos State. I am much more so delighted to see so many young people here today, as you are all aware that you are the future of our great country, Nigeria.
The event was held on Thursday, November 8, 2018. Chairman of the occasion was the Vice President of the CITN, Olajumoke Simplice, who made strenuous efforts to encourage the young ones.
Can you see our mother in white? That is Chief Mrs. Morenike Babington Ashaye. Membership number 003. A little bit about that. All of us wouldn't have been here, but for the foundation efforts of Mrs. Ashaye, our husband, our late husband, Mr. Ashaye, Chief Emmanuel Ijewere, and the doyen of taxation, Chief David Olorunleke. These were the people who's planted that mustard seed in 1982. And here we are. I want to talk about Mrs. Balogun, the first female president of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. She was the one that conceptualized the idea of Society of Women in Taxation. So she got pregnant with it. She incubated it. And Prince Quadri delivered it. Can you give the two of them a round of applause?
SWEET was established in the year 2010 and currently has 8 chapters across the country. Mrs. Babington Ashaye gave a pep talk to the children.
Democracy says it's a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So when we look at government, we are the government. We hired through election And those that we hire through elections select people to work for us. That is why the topic you're talking about today is important to you, to everybody, and also the government, and to the whole world, for that matter. Because without taxation, there can't be government. So when you go to school, remember that you are there because of the taxes your parents paid, and because of taxes that all the people who will like to see a decent society paid. And what we expect from you when you are out of school is to be a good citizen. Because nobody, I repeat, nobody has the right to waste taxpayers' money. So if you are a president, you have to spend that money judiciously. If you are a governor, you have to do the same thing. So what the Society of Women in Taxation is doing today is key to national development.
Every day, my people dey for work. Some dey do office work, some get them own business. So all of them want good road, constant power for better life. Whether na office work, oh yeah, pay your tax. Whether na your own business, oh pay your tax. If you want a better life, oh pay your tax. Now your civic responsibility, pay your tax. Better soup, now money cook am. Oh yes. Nothing goes for nothing, my brother. If you want potable water, security and hospital for make life jolly.
That's right. Good roads, good hospitals, portable water, adequate security all come from taxpayers' money. Play your part in making Nigeria great. Everybody, small scale, big companies, entrepreneurs, do the right thing. Pay your tax. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS.
Now to the debate. In all, 16 contestants participated in the first round. We want to share with you excerpts from that first round on this episode. As would be expected, the debaters began by defining the keywords of the topic.
Before I proceed, I would like to define the keywords. Taxation. Taxation is an act or method of imposing a compulsory levy by the government or its agencies on an individual, firm, or on goods and services, where fiscal policy is a means by which government adjusts its spending level and tax rate to monitor and influence a nation's economy, while development is the process of developing, an act of being developed.
Taxation is the act of imposing of tax on goods and services, individuals, and firms by the government through its agencies, for the generation of revenue to develop the economy of a given nation, while fiscal is the use of the government's income and expenditure as instruments to control the activities in a given economy.
Tax can be defined as a compulsory levy imposed by the government on the income, wealth, and capital gains of individuals and businesses, as well as goods, services, and properties. Taxation is the system of collecting this compulsory levy from individuals and businesses. A fiscal tool can be defined as a means by which government adjusts its spending levels and tax rates so as to influence the nation's economy.
Having agreed on the parameters, the debate got underway with the future presidents of Nigeria canvassing their points.
Over the years, governments at all levels in Nigeria have relied heavily on revenue from oil, neglecting tax revenue in the process. We are in the 21st century. We can no longer rely on oil as a source of revenue, because what if it eventually dry up? What will become of our country? With the current state of oil industry, it is now clear that oil is not sustainable. Tax is more reliable and predictable source of revenue. Please, for the purpose of this debate, permit me to address myself as President Ebele Chidera. As the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, how would you tax it to provide infrastructural facilities such as roads, schools, hospitals, and so on? Talking about road, 295 billion have been earmarked for the key capital projects to fund road construction, expansion, and maintenance across the country. All these infrastructural facilities will attract investors, both foreign and local, to come and invest their business in the country. Why they invest their business in the country? They will need human to work for them, thereby decreasing the level of unemployment in the country. My audience will agree with me that housing is one of the major problems we are facing in Nigeria. Therefore, as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I would use taxes to build more low-cost housing estates. I also present it in a very cheap rate so that everyone in the country will be able to afford a house of his own.
If I should be the president, I will pay more attention on the Human Development Index, that is the HDI, whereby allocate higher income gotten from this taxation on education. Why? Because I believe that when we impart knowledge and skills to these people, they will be productive. There will be increase in productivity, which leads to economic growth. Could you imagine as big as Nigeria is, with all the mineral resources, we still import goods from other countries, pencil, eraser, rice, and all sorts. This is not good. We need to increase the tax paid by this foreigner to import goods. That is the import duty. We need to increase them so that they will be discouraged to import these goods and they will be discouraged to dump these goods in our country, so we can protect our infant industry around us. Taxation is the tool. Taxation is the only solution with a good mission and vision.
With the money made from tax, we can use it to improve our economy. But we must know, how do we want to generate the money? What system of tax do we want to use? One, progressive system of tax, known as the payee, where you pay as you earn. Secondly, more tax on harmful goods like tobacco, cigarettes, and the rest. We are going to put more tax on it because individuals do not really need these goods. Then what do we want to use this money for as the president of your country? When you pay your money, I would help you utilize it. We're in agriculture. We're not paying attention to agriculture, but China, Japan, and the Asian countries are making billions from agriculture. One, the first step to revive our agricultural sector. I am sending 30 individuals to China and Japan, 15 in each country, to make sure that within the space of 3 months, these individuals learn about mechanized farming. And after 3 months, they will come back and deliberate with the best heads in Nigeria. Then we will fashion it to our country. How can it work out? And afterwards, we will train 15 individual farmers from each local government in Nigeria. These 15 individuals will go back and train every other farmer in the local government. Then I will fund the Agricultural Bank of Nigeria to make sure these guys give loans to start. And in every local government, we will have at least 3 agricultural banks that will give loan to every individual with the interest rate of 0.5. Afterwards, these individuals will be given machines at lower price and seeds at lower price to start farming. And the government will be co-owners of these farms. These things I can do if and only you pay your tax.
Michael Jackson once said that if you want to make a change in the world, you look in the mirror and start from yourself. And I would do that as the president of Nigeria by starting by increasing the tax in my own salary, in the salary of my cabinet members, the salary of my senators, my House of Reps members, so as to create an example for the people in the country, for the big businessmen and for the big businesses as well. Secondly, I would modify the toll fares in the country. Nigerians pay good money for good services. I am very certain of that. So if we see that there are good roads, I know that there will be no complaints about maybe a bit of high toll fares around. I would also do this in the aviation sector. I would increase a bit the tax paid on flying in an airplane. That will help me to develop the airports. Okay, I would also improve and modify the import tax. This is to help protect infant sunrise industries. Because Nigeria now is looking to increase the number of locally produced goods in the country. And the goods imported from abroad are seen as superior to the goods that we have in the country. So therefore, I would increase import taxes to reduce the number of goods coming into the country from other countries abroad, so as to increase the number of industries in Nigeria creating more goods. Also, there's no way I can do all this without my people in Nigeria knowing the benefits, the uses of the taxes that they are paying. I would do this by creating an educational program specially for tax, for people to learn about how we use tax, and for making everything we do with the tax collected public, so they know that we are not mismanaging the funds. Now, I would also create a bill which I will send to the senators or to the House of Senate, so as to create stringent laws for tax evaders, because I know everyone here knows that we have a lot of tax evaders in the country, and they need to be punished for their actions, because the amount of tax that they have evaded has definitely reduced our revenue in the country. Lastly, I would create more employment opportunities, because as we all know, the more people are in the labor force, the more tax we'll be able to receive. Definitely, it is a cycle that keeps going around. More employment opportunities results in more tax. I am sure that with these agendas I have stated, as the president of Nigeria, I would make sure, using taxation as a fiscal tool, that Nigeria will become great again. Thank you.
I push forward the motion that paying taxes in Nigeria by Nigerians will have a positive geometric growth rate for the success of Nigeria economy. And one major function of every developing country, such as Nigeria, needs the provision of infrastructures. If I'm made the president of Nigeria, I will make use of taxes for the provision of infrastructural services, such as electricity, telecommunications, youth empowerment, recreational services, as well as ensuring a rise per capita income and poverty alleviation, to mention but a few. If I'm the president of Nigeria, I would make use of indirect taxation. What is indirect taxation? Indirect taxation can be defined as a process in which the taxpayer doesn't get in direct contact with the tax assessor or tax collector. In most West African countries, over 80% of government revenue is being derived from indirect tax. Nigeria is the only exception, as over 50% of government revenue is derived from direct tax, for example, petroleum profit tax. And don't forget that most West African countries are largely underdeveloped and additionally are heavily dependent upon external trade. Generally speaking, wages are very low in the whole West African sub-region. And if I'm the president of Nigeria, this will account for low revenue yield from personal income tax. Although the main problem currently in Nigeria is the economic recession, and the main cause of this recession is due to lack of industries, factories, and above all, an effective refinery. Nigeria, oh what a blessed nation, blessed by God with mineral resources such as crude oil. If I'm made the president of Nigeria, I will make sure there's establishment of an effective oil refinery in every state of the country, and ensure that purchase tax is being levied on any commodity so as to encourage the production of goods and services. Furthermore, why should money be wasted on importation of unnecessary goods such as fabrics and textiles, refrigerators, in fact, place, even on education, when there are great schools in Nigeria? If I'm made the president of Nigeria, I would make sure low excise duty is being placed on locally made goods so as to encourage its consumption, and then place high excise duty on foreign goods so as to discourage it from competing with locally made ones. I would also ensure that tax is being levied on all taxable individuals and business organizations towards government revenue. More so, if I'm made the president of Nigeria, I will use tax to find funds to cover cost of administration, defense, and maintenance of law and order. I will use tax to check inequality in income and wealth of the nations. I will use tax for providing social and economic services. I will use tax to protect infant industries by granting them tax free. I will use tax for paying the nation's national debt. In addition, it is known around the world that agriculture is the mainstay of every economy. Over 80% of working rates in Nigeria are involved in agriculture. If I'm made the president of Nigeria, I will make use of taxes for providing credit facilities and embarking on advisory programs so as to advise the farmers to form cooperative societies to attract government loans and to activate agricultural developments. If I'm made the president of Nigeria, I will make sure that greater effort is being stepped upon productivity of our goods which have been exported, such as cocoa, rubber, and palm produce. In conclusion, I, Akim Bobola Oluwatumse Grace, praise that God grants me the opportunity to rule this great country, Nigeria. I would make sure I eradicate challenges such as armed robbery, kidnapping, poverty, and above all, high rates of inflation. And don't forget that the success of every nation is directly connected to the success of its people. Therefore, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, pay your tax. Thank you.
Now, the question is, as the president of Nigeria, how would I use taxation as a physical tool to develop the economy of the nation? First, I will spend a substantial amount to revive the tourism centers, as tourism serves as source of revenue for the government. As tourists pay toll to gain access to tourist centers, the government generates more revenue to revamp other sectors. The manpower needed in these tourist centers automatically receive wages or salaries, which serve as means of livelihood for them. And in return, these workers would render their income taxes to the government, thereby increasing the revenue of the government. Secondly, I will embark on the campaign to develop the economy of the nation through non-oil sectors by saving the economy from the nosediving on the account of oscillating crude oil price in the international markets. The first to come to mind is the agricultural sector, as it has contributed over 75% to the export earning in Nigeria. Also, agriculture, such as the cocoa house in Ibadan, the groundnut pyramid in the north, the rubber plantation in the east, that have become comatose will be resuscitated to produce more income for the government. As the president of Nigeria, I will facilitate the empowerment of young jobless Nigerians by granting them short and long-term loans to give them the ability to invest, and it will improve the economy of the nation. Again, the menace of brain drain in our country, where we have our best medical practitioners that are going outside the country for greener pastures. I will overhaul the entire medical sector by providing and upgrading our hospitals and also equipping them with modern facilities to discourage people from going outside the country, and the money that is supposed to be used to benefit the nation's economy, I would stop them from taking it outside the country to benefit other economies outside Nigeria. Besides, the use of tariff to discourage importation of foreign goods will be a special focus of my administration, as high tariffs are used to discourage importation of foreign goods, especially the harmful products. I will generate income for the government through imposing high tariff on importation of foreign goods. Also, I will use tax to redistribute income within income earners.
If I'm made the president of Nigeria, it is my duty and responsibility to prevent Nigeria as a dumping ground. What do I mean by that? Other goods from foreign countries are being brought into Nigeria. All these goods, it is my duty and responsibility to increase the tax rate on those goods so that the citizen of Nigeria will be discouraged to buy those goods. And also, it is my responsibility to redistribute income. Through the pay-as-you-earn system, I will narrow the gap between the rich and the poor, whereby the poor will gain from the rich. If I'm made the president of Nigeria, it is my responsibility and duty to discourage the consumption and production of harmful goods. Harmful goods like cigarettes, alcohol.
The 4 Asian tigers, Japan, Singapore, Hong Kong, and Taiwan, were able to use taxation efficiently and aggressively to develop their economy. Now, China, as at 1994, was not even in the world top 200 richest list, but today, they are in the top 20 richest list in the world. Now, all this to say, because taxes from different individuals Commodity revenue is a type of revenue that has to do things like oil, natural resources are commodity revenue. But then commodity revenue is prone to vulnerability of the stock exchange market, foreign exchange, the dollar rate cannot affect commodity revenue. But taxation can never be affected by all these facts. Lagos has the fastest growing economy in the whole world, 2018 to 2030, promising future because of what? 50% of Lagosians pay their taxes, contributing over $381 billion to the Nigerian economy. Now, imagine if all 36 states in Nigeria are able to do this, Nigeria will not just flourish, but will function.
Fireworks there. We do hope you're having fun because we're having fun here. Because of time constraints, this is how far we can go on today's episode. Next episode will bring you excerpts from the pitches of the second set of 8 debaters in the first round. We will then move on to the second round, which involved 8 finalists. And of course, you will know the winners. Be sure to join us as it promises to be even more exciting than what you have seen so far.
Remember, same station, same day of the week, same time of the day. Bye for now.